In this example, we will create an estimate with a work order attached. This would typically be for something that needs time and material to create a price or something that needs to have the time tracked to invoice at a later time. For example, an hourly rated service. Let's go into our client file who we just finished meeting with to get a SOD estimate. Click on the Estimate button. Be sure to select the correct estimate type in the drop-down menu. You will see a toggle button to include the work order. Click on that and another section will open. The work order is for internal purposes only, and the client will not be able to see any of this information. You can give the work order a name if you like by typing it here, but it is not required. From the drop-down menu, choose the appropriate work order type. These options get set up in your configuration settings, and then choose an option from the Locates drop-down menu. At this stage, the locates would either be required or not required. Once the work order is approved and the locates are ordered and then completed is when this status would be changed. To get started on building our price, we will need to add the labor and materials required. You can add multiple sections to your estimate if required. For now, we will stick with one section. You can also label each section here. This makes it easier for the crew to recognize what each section is when they are out in the field. Hit the Labor and Materials button here, and a pop-up menu will show up with a list that was created in your configuration settings. This list can be adjusted in your configuration settings. You can filter by selecting the category on the right side. When you select an item, a pop-up shows at the top to say that one item has been selected. You can continue to select your items, or you can add the items you have selected. Let's keep selecting items. They will automatically appear alphabetically. You can change the order by pressing and holding down this icon and moving the item. We can still add other items to this list if needed. Now we will want to put in the proposed quantities for each item based on the measurements that we took from the site. This is purely for example and is not a true reflection of the price for installing 1,000 square feet of sod. By clicking on and changing each of the boxes for the estimated quantity, we can see the estimate subtotal change as well. We can also write notes for any of the items and change the cost or the margin if we wanted to. Once we have put in all the items, we now have our estimate subtotal based on the labor and materials we put in. We will also want to put a description of the work for the crew. The customer does not see this portion. It can be as descriptive as you want or need it to be. Once we have done this, we can now create the estimate for the client. Hit Add Service, choose the correct line item, change any of the description as needed. For the price, we know the minimum cost it will be based on our work order, so that is the minimum amount of dollars that we want to put in the estimate. But let's add a bit and also round the number so it looks more presentable. If you scroll to the top, you can see the work order estimate compared to the customer quote. Scroll to the bottom and hit Save. This will bring you to a new screen where you will see the details of the estimate, the services within the estimate, and if you scroll towards the bottom, an example of the estimate to be sent. You can still go back in and make changes to the estimate or work order if needed by clicking here. Let's go back to the main client file. If you scroll towards the bottom, you will see the estimate, the service within the estimate, and the work order. And you've just created your first estimate with the work order. In other videos, we will look at approving estimates with work orders, reconciling information within a work order, and invoicing for work that has been completed.